Hello and welcome to the polling station. Just me and Paul Krishnamurty here today to discuss the events of yesterday. I'm speaking at 11:41 a.m. The day after Boris Johnson won his vote of no confidence, but lost an awful lot of support. He won 211 to 148. The Paul Krishnamurty, that does not begin to tell the tale properly, does it?
No, I mean, I think there is a general consensus around kind of at least non-partisan pundits that it's probably the beginning and the end, that history would suggest that it's a worse result. He's lost a larger proportion of the Conservative Party than Theresa May lost in her no confidence vote, and Margaret Thatcher lost in the first round of her leadership contest. And you remember Thatcher was gone within days, Theresa May went for 5 months. I would add to that as well that the Johnson situation is infinitely worse, because the divisions that led to Thatcher and May being ousted were substantial divisions. They were very real ideological schisms in the party. They were divided over Europe in particular, with Thatcher losing 2 chancellors, and Theresa May famously, of course, was brought down by the ERG. And yet, in both cases, Thatcher had a long list of achievements to fall back on. You know, she was adored by the Tory faithful, and yet she was still removed. In Theresa May's case, okay, maybe she didn't have those 2 criteria, but there was serious resistance and fear of the ERG, who were behind the faction. Boris Johnson's not leading a party that's particularly divided on policy, on ideology. It's just that ever larger numbers in the party can see that he's electoral suicide, that he's become toxic, that he's not up to the job, he's just not fit for the office. And I noticed too that, you know, very much unlike Thatcher, for example, his approval ratings amongst Conservative members, according to Conservative Home, they're atrocious. Fares worse than anyone in the cabinet. So I do think it's the beginning of the end, but try putting a date on it.
Yeah, very difficult indeed. Not to mention, of course, there is the potential for a change in the 1922 committee's rules. So it could be 6 months, it could be even after the by-elections. I am told and led to understand those rules are very much flexible. But no, my initial take yesterday was that it was the worst result overall for the Conservative Party, rather than the plotters, rather than Boris Johnson. The real losers of the Conservative Party, the real winners are just everybody else in terms of opposition parties. It's another gift for Labour and Keir Starmer. It's another absolute gift. It's a great gift for the Lib Dems, who, by the way, have tabled their own, or they're going to table their own confidence votes in Boris Johnson. And I want to discuss that, because when I saw it immediately first thing this morning, I thought, bad politics. But we are in the middle of a by-election campaign. I'm told postal votes, I think, will come and arrive in Tiverton from today, apparently. And is it possible that there's a bit of a master plan here, some theatre of trying to get Tory MPs on the record as having voted against their own leader, but still keeping him as our Prime Minister?
I think that you're absolutely spot on. I mean, first point is, for the Liberal Democrats, famously, their biggest problem is always being heard, getting anything in the news. So if they could, I mean, yes, it is a stunt, because of course there's no way that Parliament is going to remove him. And perhaps it will unite the Tory party, but that, again, that's a great master plan. Firstly, they're getting the great publicity. Second, they're getting these Tory MPs on the record. And thirdly, you know, even if it did have the effect of temporarily uniting the Conservative Party around Johnson and delaying the inevitable, well, that's brilliant for the Liberal Democrats. It's brilliant for Labour. You know, every day these guys are in office, it's helping them, you know?
Yeah. And the cutoff point between now and the next general election, like the latest it can be held is January 2025, a deep winter election. It's June in 2022 now. Let's say Johnson gets another year. You know, you are not giving a new Tory leader a lot of time to bed in and do stuff that makes the Tories attractive, to get a story going. And one of the things I keep thinking of is that, I mean, listen, I don't think that this government has had much interest in, getting down with the grind work of governance, and fixing structural problems, but they need to have some sort of narrative for the next general election. And that's difficult. It's not easy to set up that sort of stuff, in 6 months or so. It generally takes years, right? The road back for Blair and New Labour, it's longer and harder than people remember, much longer and harder than people remember. Generally speaking, it's been the case for every government. And the one thing I think is, with 148 of your MPs just not wanting you there, and possibly more who definitely have serious doubts. The 211 that back him, there is no way that's a totally united show of support. They've just picked their poison. I really wonder, thinking forward, how on earth do they get anything done if they were so inclined to go and do so? It's all well and good having like Health Week and Crime Week or whatever, but at some point, if you're going to do something serious and structural, you probably need party support. It's going to be, and the discipline on the backbenches was hard enough as it was, and now it's essentially almost an open revolt. I mean, if we presume, and I'm possibly making a bit of a high barrier here, but let's presume that Johnson kept like 80 to 90% of the payroll. That's up to 3/4 of backbenchers who've declared no confidence in him, which is bleak for the chance of anything getting done seriously.
I don't think. I mean, I'll probably be attacked for being partisan or whatever, but I don't think they're that serious about government. I think it's about winning. It's all about winning and the advantages that go with winning. And I think that really, what is their narrative going to be for the next election? It will be Keir Starmer thinks some women have got a penis. It will be, there'll be a load of undercover stuff through direct advertising on Facebook from deniable sources that Labour are paedophiles or Labour are agreeing out with the British QAnon, and then the cabinet will just go on TV and say things like, he got all the big calls right, he made all the big calls right. And then if anyone, like Victoria Derbyshire did yesterday, has the temerity to say, well, actually you didn't, here's some that you got wrong, right? They'll just scream and shout that it's the biased media picking on them. And this is Trump all over again. I mean, you mentioned Health Week, Crime Week, all of that. You may remember
Infrastructure Week.
Infrastructure Week, 4 years every single week. Right, it never happened. That's the new model of right-wing politics. And I mean, the no clearer illustration of this is the Jeremy Hunt versus Nadine Dorries bun fight. Well, it wasn't a bun fight. Jeremy Hunt just spoke his mind, and then Nadine Dorries just took her insanity up to a new level by laying into him and actually, in doing so, attacking her own government's record on the pandemic. It's an exact mirror of what's happened in America. Jeremy Hunt, who I've no place defending Jeremy Hunt, right? He is the Mitt Romney figure. She is the Sarah Palin, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert figure. And I think that the way we're headed, the crazy wing win, that's where the right wing are now.
Do you think Johnson winning, I should say, gosh, what a slip that really was. Do you think this is good for anybody with leadership ambitions, this delay? Because a few MPs definitely going to throw their hat in that ring. Is more time benefit for them?
It's to all of them, I suppose, because there's no front runner. It gives anyone a chance, and memories are so short that were one of them to be the one to successfully forecast when his time is up and to plunge the knife in, then they might be rewarded for it. They might be. Remember, I'm not sure that social media will ever forget. there's plenty of footage of them defending him. It probably gives, I'm not saying this will be that way, because I'm not convinced that the government, even they wanted to, have the tools to really turn around the cost of living situation. But you'd have to say with Rishi Sunak, gives him another chance. It gives him another chance to keep recovering what he lost earlier in the year. And I suppose it gives people who have risen up the betting and up the list a chance, like Nadeem Sahawi, for instance, suddenly seems to be everyone's favourite to unite the party. Sceptical myself, I think he's more of a chancellor. But yeah, more time is good for him. It's probably bad news for someone like Liz Truss, who was a front runner, an early front runner.
I would agree with that. Also, I know we're both on Team Mordaunt, and I don't think yesterday's news will have done her any harm at all. Good little chats on that, I think. Is there anything in particular with regards to the Tory party, or indeed British politics, that you're looking out for? Of course, there will be by-election coverage, and the Lib Dems are 92 on to win Tiverton. Labour now 16s on in Wakefield. Of course, we have had polling from Wakefield, by-election polls where Labour are miles ahead. Nothing yet from Tiverton, where I'm looking forward to taking a quick and cheeky trip back, possibly with the whiteboard, to see what's going on there. But anything you're looking out for before we wrap up?
Not particular things. Where we are, I think that they're going to lose both by-elections. Tiverton's less certain, but I still would say I think Mark is probably right. The interesting one is the Boris exit date, because I don't really know myself what to make of that. I mean, I cashed out. I had some more positions last week around a sort of 2.8, 2.7. I got out of them at 2.4 this morning. I took a little profit on that. It's not. It could very well be 2023 now, and even to be. No, I don't think. I still don't believe he can take them into the next election, but. I'm actually not ruling anything out. I mean, we're in unprecedented territory here.
Absolutely. And that's a really good spot to end that. Paul, always a pleasure, never a chore. You can find his work on the excellent Betfair Live blog at betting.betfair, and of course on his Twitter feed. It's at Paul Motti, I'm pretty sure, or is it at Political Gambler?
At Paul Motti.
At Paul Motti. So yeah, do go and check out his regular updates there. Thanks very much, everybody, for the kind comments on yesterday's work. Do watch this space, because who knows what could happen with this group of MPs. Thanks very much for listening and watching, and we'll see you again very soon.